Williams veers left, pulls up, looking for the lead, and got it. Jalen Williams, 2 seconds, 1:11.109. Now SGA probing, piercing, spinning, hanging for the lead, and SGA knocks it down. The Thunder finally get the defensive stop, and SGA puts them in front.
I'm Kenrich Williams. You listen to Topic Thunder.
And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Top Thunder Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Hunsinger at Thunder Chats, where you're part of the B-League Network. This podcast brought to you by BetOnline.ag. Now that's out of the way. The Thunder are rolling. The vibes are high in Thunder Nation. In case you guys missed it, we haven't potted since, I think, Tuesday. So the trade deadline, the Thunder actually added a 7-footer that can space the floor, generationally good on defense. And he just happens to had already been on the roster and added Chet Holmgren. I would argue was one of the best moves of the trade deadline. So, yeah, I just had to get that out of the way. Cone was definitely going to take that line before we got going. So, as you can see, Cone is also here, the man, the legend, the underscone, all those things. Cone, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. 42 losses before, or 42 wins before 10 losses.
42 losses.
Yeah, we're not Washington. Don't worry, we're not the Wizards. But no, 42 wins before 10 losses. Team's looking amazing. Best offense and the best defense in 2025. Like you said, picked up a generational defender and 7-foot floor spacer all in one move at the trade deadline. It's so funny. The second that tweet came out, I was like, I'm 1,000% sure the Thunder are not making a trade today. Once the Chet comeback tweet came out on deadline day, you know they planned that out. Not that I felt like we needed to make moves. I came on here and very adamantly said I was cool with doing nothing at the deadline. We did bring in Thunder legend Daniel Tice, who we immediately cut 3 minutes after I made a tweet about him being a Thunder legend post deadline. But yeah, man, I'm feeling good. Really, the only thing that could kind of throw me off right now that is a little bit is you can look like right here on my camera. There's a Thunder puzzle back there, actually, which my fiance got me for Christmas, and we're working on it. And you know, it's devastating. There is a piece missing directly in the middle. It is the literal last piece in the center, and it's unbelievably devastating. But outside of that, you know, that one thing completely ruining my entire vibe. Feeling fantastic, man. It's the best team in the NBA. And tonight's one of those nights where you kind of see the difference between like the cream of the crop in the Western Conference and a team that's just a tier below at the moment.
Yeah, man. It sucks because, like, you know, so what is it? It's like all fully complete except for that one piece in the puzzle.
Yeah, that's the last piece.
Yeah, so like it looks good. You can kind of see what it is. But it's not quite the same without that last piece. And that's like the Thunder without Chet Holmgren. Like,
it's so funny. I sent that picture to my family group chat, and my brother goes, "It's the puzzle's just missing that last piece. It's Chet Holmgren." Literally, He made the exact same reference when we found out that he was coming back. So
shout out Ninja. We got the link mine there. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, man, with obviously like Chet came back in, and we you know, it was like he was never gone, man. Like, you know, obviously it's a different role offensively, not as high volume. We weren't trying to like force feed him shots or anything like that. But defensively, I feel like there was a little bit of awkwardness at the beginning of the game. I'll be honest. Like it wasn't like just like right into the fire. There was a couple of drives on him that I felt like in the past, like fully healthy Chet, like, you know, in the game, Chet would like have at least tried to contest and swat that he didn't get to. But man, he made up for it there, you know, as the course of the game went on, as he got comfortable. I think his first shot, he had like a layup attempt that he went up for, and Scotty blocked it, and he fell over on that. And it reminded me of the summer league whenever, you know, he was struggling a little bit. He fell, you know, he was fine. He got up. It's like he just needed to know that he could fall down and be okay before he could like kind of settle in and be like, okay, let's play now.
Yeah, I mean, and then by the end of the game, you saw him literally, it was like the exact same play that happened with Andrew Wiggins that caused him to break the bone in the first place, where Scotty Barnes went up on him, 2 hands, trying to dunk it on him. And Chet went up and just swatted it away completely, just swallowed the shot. And that's really all I needed to see from that game, is that, hey, Chet's not afraid. You know, he's back. He'll make plays like that still. He fell. He got back up. Like you said, really, I mean, he only shot 5 times, really wasn't going for it that much offensively. But defensively, I mean, he was hyper impactful. A plus 22, I think he was in 22 minutes, 6 stocks in those 22 minutes too. Like, I mean, we talk about the best defense in the NBA only getting better. Like, I think the defensive impact from Chet is going to be there from moment one. It was. I think the thing that's going to come back along is the offense. And I think part of that is adjusting to what it's like playing alongside Isaiah Hartenstein now as the 4, having him there as the 5. There were a couple awkward moments. And Dub even cited this in the post-game interview. They asked him how it was having Chet back. He was like, it was kind of awkward at first. Like, you know, we had to kind of refigure out how to play with each other. And you kind of saw that start to gel a little bit more. And we've got, I mean, a great schedule of games coming up to really get Chet acclimated. Like, we play the Pelicans next game. That's going to be a nice, easy matchup for him to go into. And then a little bit tougher whether they decide to play him on the first half of the back-to-back against the Heat or the second half against the Timberwolves. I imagine he plays that second one against the Wolves specifically because it's in Minnesota where he's from. So I feel like Chet is probably going to want to play that one if they're like, hey, you know, you can play one of the two for the back-to-back. But then we have the All-Star break, which is good. You know, he gets a little bit of time to kind of get into this thing. The Thunder will get a little bit of tape on what the double big thing looks like with Chet involved. And then you can make adjustments to the game plan over the break. And then you get to test that right away coming out, playing I think it's the Utah Jazz are the first team we play coming out of the All-Star break. Or it might be the Wolves again. No, yeah, okay, it's the Jazz, and then it's the Wolves twice. We play the Wolves 3 times in 4 games. So we're going to get really acclimated to play the Minnesota Timberwolves over that period. But yeah, it'll be a nice little test run here as we get into the All-Star break. But I was really excited by everything that Chet did, man. Every time he blocked a shot, I'm like, man, I can't believe that this type of player is back for the team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, the block shots are like the highlight, but like just the little thing, like, he looks good out there mobility-wise. Like,
oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there was no restraints in, like, his, you know, vertical, like, you know, moving forward or back, like, moving side to side. Like, it looked like the old Chet in his movements. And that's all we could ask for. You know, was he going, like, you know, balls to the wall, like, the entire game? Were they playing him like his normal rotation? No, probably not. Like, they're easing him into it a little bit. But yeah, it's very excited to have Chet back. It was great to see him. You know, we took care of business against the Raptors, you know, whatever, like it's fine. Aside from Chet coming back, the story for this podcast, the story for the Thunder right now is what they just did in Memphis.
Yeah.
The number 2 team in the Western Conference, the highest scoring team in the entire NBA.
Yep.
Recently got back all their guys. They are fully healthy with the exception of Cam Spencer, sorry.
Yeah, been on an absolute tear, by the way. I've won 10 out of their last 11.
In Memphis, 2 days rest. OKC just coming off of a back-to-back. They don't have Lou Dort. They don't have Case Wallace. They don't have Chet Holmgren. It's not an issue. The Thunder absolutely take care of business in Memphis. What's the saying? Walk into your trap, take over your trap. Like, it was all those things.
Yeah, I mean, it was like outside of that run that they made towards the start of the fourth quarter, you know, in the Shai-less minutes, like outside of that, and, you know, of course, the momentum, like, it was just some insane stuff with the 4-point play from Desmond Bane, and then literally 2 4-point plays on back-to-back possessions at the end of the third and beginning of the fourth quarter. Like, and that shifted it a little bit, but the Grizzlies never brought it back within single digits. This game was a double-digit, like, well out of reach game for pretty much the entirety of the second half. How much were we up at halftime?
I'm trying to see. Looks like we were up 79 to 52.
79 to 50. Yeah. So we were
69, 52. Apologies.
69-52. Yeah. So we're up 17. Like, after halftime, I mean, this game was over. Like, they made a run, and it looked a lot more like the Grizzlies we've been seeing. But that's one thing about this Thunder team is it's like, okay, cool, you made a little bit of a run, and now, but the team maintained. Like, they did a good job of stabilizing. Honestly, they shut the door. Like, Shai really didn't even have to come back in, but he came in for like a couple of minutes. But then it's like, you know, at any moment we could bring Shai back in, and it's just over. Like, there's just nothing you can do. And again, this was without Chet. without Queso, without Dort. And the big thing was that the defense just kind of got into some trouble there. Like we kept fouling, they were getting downhill and attacking, getting us a little bit off kilter rotation wise. They were getting to the free throw line a ton. I mean, they way outshot us from the line. 21 attempts for the Thunder, 39 for the Grizzlies tonight. So a lot of contact, a lot of fouls going their way. DC of FNFs just said Grizzlies pack in the chat. Don in the chat said would like to thank Caruso's ankles for holding up. Agree. Got a little worried there. Caruso seemingly tweaked an ankle, and I was like, oh my God, no way something happened again. But he was fine, played amazing basketball. And I mean, yeah, they just completely took care of business. It's so funny that this, most of the time, like this would feel like a big matchup. It's like, oh, number 1 and number 2 in the West. But I don't know. I came into this one. We didn't have our guys in the second half of a back-to-back, and I'm like, I don't know. I think we're just going to win. Like I'm just confident that this team's still going to get it done. And I mean, they did. Like they were comfortably up by double digits basically the entire night.
Yeah, and what's more is like on top of the Grizzlies leading the league in scoring, they also lead the league in rebounding. And the Thunder won the rebound battle plus 15 tonight.
Destroyed them on the offensive glass. I think Michael Cage said that statistically this was the best offensive rebounding game of the Thunder season. It felt like it. I mean, we're just annihilating them on the glass.
Yeah, plus 11 on the offensive glass, plus 15 for the game. Kind of neutralized Zach Edey. I mean, he only played 13 minutes in this game, and I think that he's a big source of the rebounding. Kind of swaying that way. But yeah, man, just credit to the guys. Isaiah Hartenstein was a man possessed. I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself because we will do single large item, but you can't be more impressed by the effort of this team. Because I mean, from top to bottom, everybody kind of overcome something one way or another. Shai, everybody else was rebounding. Shai was like, I'm not going to rebound. Shai kind of struggled to score a little bit, but he was still able to get his 30 for one, but also contribute in a variety of ways, apply pressure to the Grizzlies, and it was just awesome. But
the playmaking too, by the way,
yes.
Shai's playmaking jump. If you want an example, that last 3 Kenrich hit where the shot clock's winding down and Shai made that skip pass over the outstretched arms of, I think it was Gigi Jackson, maybe,
yep.
Into Kenrich Williams' shooting pocket right in the corner. That is a hell of a pass, man. And I mean, that's the thing with Shai too, is he's also gotten so good at, those doubles around half court, hitting the guy in the middle, the big man with the little underhand, kind of bounce pass or the wrap around to get around the defenders. He's just gotten so good at that, man. It's even if the shot isn't really falling, I mean, he's always going to find a way to get downhill, get hacked and get to the line. And the fact that he was still able to put up over 30 points and still the impact was ridiculous from him. I mean, he's just good in every area. But sorry to stop your transition into the single large item, I think is where you're going with that.
It's all good. I mean, I think that we could just jump right into Shai because I also wanted to talk about that pass. That was one I tweeted about. It was one that really stuck out to me real time. And you're kind of underselling it, Cone, because not only was it a pocket skip pass over the outstretched arms of Gigi Jackson, but it was a pass in which I don't remember who it was that switched on to Shai, but they had just cut the lead to 12, I believe. And it was the closest they got. Shai had the ball, shot clock's winding down. Hart kind of cut across the lane to the right baseline, and Shai stared him down, picked up the ball, and went to act like he was pushing the ball straight. Never took his gaze off of Ihart and just last second whipped it like you said, right in the shooter's pocket of Kenrich Williams in the corner. It was such a shout out to you. It was such a high level live dribble skip pass from Shai, and that's kind of been that was one of the biggest criticisms of a lot of Shai haters over the past few years is this guy's supposed to be a point guard. He can't. He's not a high level playmaker. If you have not been paying attention to Shai's game, his playmaking reads, his playmaking ability, his tendencies, all of that, especially this last handful of games, probably this calendar year so far, it has been trending up tremendously. And there's a variety of reasons for that. It could be because, we had, the improved roster around him. It could be because this isn't a shot. Like guys like Josh Giddey are off the team now, so Shai has the ball in his hands more. He has the playmaking responsibility more. But yeah, I have been just thoroughly impressed with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's growth this season. As you know, he's been an MVP candidate. He's already been one of the top 5 players in the NBA, and it just feels like, as he has for like the last 5 seasons, he's taken yet another leap in his game. And it just like it makes you ask the question, how much better can Shai Gilgeous-Alexander get?
I mean, it's like crazy how, you know, it feels like an all NBA first teamer, you know, top 3 MVP finisher somehow took another leap. It's crazy. And he's just found a way to not only improve the scoring with the improved 3-point volume, and to reach a point now where like I just expect Shai threes to go down. I know his percentage isn't anything insane. I'm going to check what it is after this game tonight because I'm guessing
Like
it went up.
36 maybe?
35.2 is where it's at on StatMuse. So, but like, man, it's so crazy. Like 30, he's averaging 32.7 a night. Like, I mean, obviously the scoring has taken another jump. It didn't feel possible, but it has. But the defensive growth over the course of his career, the playmaking growth over the course of his career, and like I think that's a big thing too. You know, going up against last year, I just saw a team in the chat mention, you know, the series with the Mavericks. Presti talked a lot about the playmaking, and that was something that the team needed to improve. You notice how the ball whipped around, and I do feel like the ball movement is better with this team. I think part of that is, you know, Isaiah Hartenstein coming in. He's one of the best big man passers in the game, and Caruso is so smart and decisive with his playmaking. I know Dub's been working on it. There was that one clip recently where Dub was in pregame warmups just working on like skip passes. Like he would just start driving on the trainer and just practice a skip pass. Like he was just trying to get the reps to get that down. And you know, when he went ahead and finished, like, see Dylan get the Dr. Pepper nod from the chat out there. Shout out to y'all. By the way, if y'all don't know, Dylan is completely addicted to Dr. Pepper. It's insane.
Absolutely.
I don't know how you drink a Dr. Pepper at 11:40 p.m., but go off, King. I'm gonna let you do you. I say that as the person who stays up to like 4 a.m. consistently. But yeah, man, like it's been all these different guys, but like Shai's has just been, because he has the ball in his hands so much, it's so noticeable. And there are a lot of great scorers in the NBA, but the reason that they aren't able to be like the engine, the catalyst of one of the best offenses yet is because they don't have the playmaking chops. When you are that number 1 option, having that scoring without being able to play make, it doesn't mean a lot. Because, you know, you can put the ball in the basket all you want, but if a team starts sending doubles, you've got to find the right read. You've got to be able to, even if your shot's not falling, still make the right plays for your teammates, because everybody in the league is going to have off nights at some point, even though it feels like Shai almost never does. Yeah. Like tonight was one of Shai's worst shooting games of the season. He still managed to put up over 30 points. But like just the reads, man, they were just so good. There was another one where I think he drove in and like kind of stopped in midair, did like a 180 and hit someone out there on the perimeter. It might have been for one of Wiggs's threes. But like, it's just, it's so impressive, man. The growth in every aspect. We talk about the most well-rounded players in the game. Like Shai is firmly in that conversation.
He's got the lob game down too. Like, you know, in the Raptors game, he had 2 lobs, one to Dub, one to Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah,
both of them just like
it's been getting better, man. The other guys on the team said he couldn't throw lobs, and he took it personally. He's like, I'm gonna grow in that area, man.
It's that Michael Jordan meme from The Last Dance.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think another reason like we're really seeing it more this year is because Shai's had flashes of like these high level like playmaking reads over the past couple of years. And I even remember like him making these reads and his teammates just not being able to finish. And it feels like, you know, as the team has gotten better, they're able to finish those too. So they kind of stick out in people's mind a little bit more. But yeah, Shai was absolutely phenomenal. And like, I don't want to like go away from OKC too much, but like, he had his work cut out for him tonight because Jalen Wells was making him work for everything that he got in the first half. I was really impressed by him. I know he's a rookie. I know he had foul trouble. He didn't get to guard him as much down the stretch, but I mean, just staying with him step for step, stride for stride. Like, you know, again, he's a rookie. Shai's a vet in this league now. He's crafty. He's going to get by you. He's going to get your hand in the cookie jar a few times. But I feel like, especially like down the stretch, Shai was kind of missing some shots that we've customarily grown to him just like being automatic. I think a lot of that is because he was having to do a lot of extra work to try to get free of Jalen Wells' defense. And So I just got to tip my hat to the Rook. He was playing great.
Yeah, man, he's great. Like he's the Grizzlies have found a lot of those young guys that are able to contribute pretty quickly, kind of similar to what the Thunder have done. But like Wells is a great example, man. I think he's probably my rookie of the year. He's certainly in that conversation. Texted by Nature asking what's our new net rating. I can check for you. Net rating, best net rating in NBA history, single season. I love that I can type that in to find the Thunder's net rating. We have a 13. It's 0.4 behind the number one all-time spot with the 96 Bulls. We are a full point ahead of the third spot, the 97 Bulls. So
very nice.
Yeah, man. And I believe I've heard a couple NBA broadcasts. I believe just straight off point differential, we do have the best point differential in NBA history. So if you're looking for some cool stats, there's another one with again Chet Holmgren having just come back. So, yeah, man, it's been awesome. I mean, if I can give a shout real quick to somebody.
Of course.
Aaron Wiggins, man. Aaron Wiggins has not just been saving basketball. He has been having the best stretch of his career over the last 5 games. 41-14-3 with 6 threes, 13-1-4-1 on 67% shooting from the field, 17-6-1-1 on 75% shooting from the field, 18-3-2-1-1 on 50% shooting. And tonight, 26 points, 10 rebounds, 2 dimes with 8 threes, his career high. Unbelievable stuff from Wiggs. He's been asked to start, play off the bench sometimes. Like he's been shifted through a lot of roles, but recently over these last 5 games, he's been given extra opportunity and he's gone crazy. And one thing that's pissed me off is I believe the Los Angeles Lakers, for some reason, have an interest in stopping the world from knowing how good Aaron Wiggins is. I don't know what the reasoning for it is, but the night that he dropped 41 points, the Lakers are like, we're going to trade for Luka Doncic. Ridiculous. Tonight, Wiggs is in the middle of his best game of his career outside of that one. He's got 5 threes at halftime. And they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, the Mark Williams trade has been rescinded. Well, I don't know why we keep doing Lakers news dumps on Aaron Wiggins' career nights, but I'd love for it to stop. Yeah, that's my conspiracy theory is the Lakers are trying to bring down Aaron Wiggins. But, like, I mean, he's just been playing out of his mind. I mean, he's been knocking down shots confidently, hitting that 3 ball. The defense as well. I think throughout most of the season, the Thunder really don't have a weak link defensively, but you could probably signal out Wiggins as one of the weaker defenders on this team. Recently, I mean, he's been clamping up, man. He's been playing really well on the defensive end, a lot of effort in the right spot, and we've needed it. Like tonight, no Lou, no Kaysen, no Chet. We need someone to step up defensively, and it's been Aaron Wiggins. He's been so good. And a crazy stat, there are 4 players in NBA or in Thunder history, in Thunder history. Aaron Wiggins now has the 4th most games with 25 points, 10 plus boards, and 5 or more threes. The only players ahead of him are Russ, KD, and PG. He has more 25-10 with 5-3 games than Shai does. Like, that's very impressive.
Yeah, that's nice.
Who was a guy that, not recently, like going right into the deadline, but more so like in maybe the month or 2 leading up to it. There were some people, if you asked them, they're like, oh, what move would you make? They'd go like, oh, I'd trade for like a Cam Johnson or something like that. And they might have mentioned throwing Aaron Wiggins into that package. And the Thunder were like, nah, we're keeping him. And I think most people realize after his 41 ball last Friday before the deadline that, yeah, we shouldn't trade Aaron Wiggins. Clearly, that was the right decision. I mean, he's on one of the best contracts in the league. And this is the juice that we need. We talk about how the Thunder's offense needs to be better in the non-Shai minutes, and it has been recently. I mean, we were talking before the pod, best offense and the best defense in the NBA since the beginning of the calendar year, and that includes the Shai minutes have actually improved a lot, and I was pretty encouraged by some of the stuff we saw with Chet back, even though the offense looked a little bit clunky, just thinking about the fact that now you can have like Chet and Dub out there, and then Shai and iHeart, or you could put J-Dub and iHeart together like full time in that second unit, and have Chet come back in with Shai. You're always gonna have one of those bigs out there, keeps the other guy fresh. It always gives like Dub someone to play off of in those those screening situations, gives him more space. Like I think the offense is gonna be perfectly fine in the non-Shai minutes. But like, I mean, Wiggins is someone else who helps solve that issue. The ability of him to not just knock down those threes consistently, shoot them really confidently, but to create off the dribble, like get downhill and attack, man. This is the best version of Aaron Wiggins we've ever seen. And he's coming along at the perfect time. This is exactly the juice that we need. It's been super fun, man. Also, real quick, we just got, I saw someone in the chat say T. Morant was the person that got ejected. Yeah, it was John Morant's dad that got ejected from courtside. And it was just come out the pool report on the ejection at the game. So they asked Josh Tibbin, the head referee, crew chief, why he was ejected. He said the fan continued to repeat overtly disrespectful statements about the integrity of the officiating crew. So as the crew chief, I approached security and asked that he be removed. They said, was there something specific the fan said that warranted action to remove him? He said, yes, there were very specific, overtly disrespectful comments made about the integrity of the crew. And they asked if he was aware that it was Team Morant, and he said yes. So
yeah, I saw that while you were making your Wiggins point. I was like, that's crazy. That's diabolical. That's really funny though.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I did see DCFNF said, like, real quick, he said, do we still have more steals and turnover? We do not. I looked it up.
Yeah.
Currently we have 566 steals and 619 turnovers. So, there's some time to make that up, but yeah, it was fun while it lasted with that one.
Yeah, I mean, no team had ever done it for more than like 20 games. The dream of us getting there through 82 probably wasn't going to happen. It's not going to happen. But the fact that it's even that close, just in general, I mean, is like insane in its own right. I saw someone just ask if AJ Mitchell is going to be back before the playoffs. Yeah, he's supposed to be. Looking at the timeline that they gave him, assuming it's similar to the way that Chet responded to the injury, obviously it could be different, but it seems like he'll be back like second to last or last week of March and give him like a week ramping up to the playoffs. So AJ will have some time. I don't know what the run looks like for him coming off that type of injury going into a playoff setting, but it'll be cool to have AJ back for sure, which, by the way, I don't know. We haven't potted since AJ got that the contract. So shout out to AJ. He gets the standard contract. He's able to, now play out the rest of the season off the 2-way. Congrats to him on getting the bag, man. Super excited. I mean, very, very deserving. I think would have been in the conversation for that Rising Stars game if he didn't end up getting injured. Just played out of his mind. And he's a guy another player that could give us a little bit more juice offensively if we need it. I also saw Dorla mentioned Isaiah Joe. Yeah, Zay's also been awesome recently. This wasn't as good of a game from Isaiah Joe in this one. I think he only had 3 points. Yeah, he only had 1 3. He was 1 of 6 from the outside. But last game against the Raptors, he had 4 threes. He had that crazy dunk. He had 12 the game before, 18. He had 17 a couple games before that, and 16 and 24. The role players have been coming along. We talked about towards the beginning of the season, it's like, does this team need to make some trades to increase the depth? And, is the 3 ball going to be fine for the Thunder in the playoffs? I mean, this team's been shooting amazing as of lately. It feels like, or at least definitely as good as they need to blow out a bunch of teams. Let me see if I can find over our last, how many games have we played in 2025? I was going to find just real quick what we've been shooting from 3 since the beginning of the year.
It's been like 17 games.
Yeah, it's NBA.com only let me do 15, but over our last 15 games, we're 13th in the league in 3-point percentage at about 37%. So
gotcha.
Above average, which, I mean, with the way Shai's playing and, Chet coming back, also giving you another knockdown shooter at the big man spot, more than happy with that.
Yeah, and, talking about your old guys, I mean, Caruso in his last 3 games, not so much the Phoenix game because that was, over before it started. But, I mean, the Raptors game, the Grizzlies game, he was double digits, hit 2 threes, which was a concern at the beginning of the year. Everybody kind of thought this was going to be one of those outlier, bad shooting seasons for Caruso. But looks like he started to turn around. Kendrick Williams tonight, 6 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, just doing a little bit of everything. Had 1 possession where I think he got 2 or 3 offensive rebounds on the same one.
Yeah. Kenny's been huge for that rebounding, man.
Yeah, and he screamed, "That's my ball," and it led to that deep Shai 3 to put us at 25. So, yeah, I mean the whole bench has been playing. And, to your point about Wiggins, the thing that's impressed me the most, not so much the 3-point shooting because we've known that was there. He's been an above 40% 3-point shooter for the past 2 seasons, and the only gripe we kind of had was the volume because he was averaging 1.5 attempts a game. And he's ratcheted up that volume. I think last year he shot 50% from 3.
Yeah.
And he's ratcheted up that volume. It's obviously gone down the percentage, but what's he shooting right now? Is he at 40%? Or is he a little bit under?
Wiggins on the season? I think he is above 40% on the season now. I don't know if these stats are up. The stats say 37.8 if I just Google them. I'll look up StatMuse.
But that's on 4.5 attempts a game, 5 attempts a game around that. I'm okay with that. Like, that's perfectly fine with me.
Yeah, 3.9 attempts, so just about 4 on about 37.8. We'll round up to 38%. Like that's, I mean, we will absolutely take that
Yeah.
from a role player. Like that's the kind of volume and percentage you need. He doesn't need to shoot 40%. If he can just be willing to chuck those up and shoot right around 38, like I am super cool with that. That's a huge boost.
Yeah, and you talk about the stuff he's doing like live off ball. It's not even just creation for himself, which is it's always felt like the past couple of years, like Wiggins can always kind of create a bucket for himself. Like as a lot of people on this team have, like they've improved as playmakers. Like there was a play specifically, I think it was the third quarter, in which Wiggins got the ball at like the top of the 3-point line. Somebody closed out on him. He pump faked, he drove, he made a move. He drew the help defender off of Hartenstein. He flipped it to Hartenstein, and that freed up Hartenstein to do the poster on Vince Williams. And like, again, just like not even like a high level read, just the right read, like a smart read, and it was off of your like live dribble creation to get to that. And was that something that Wiggins could do in the past? Like maybe, but also Wiggins probably isn't looking to pass. Wiggins is probably looking to score in the pass. So it's just just another improvement in that area as well. And yeah, like shout out to Aaron Wiggins, man. He's been playing like he's the savior of basketball these last few games. And really, I feel like this happens that after every trade deadline, people that were kind of rumored to be in trades, like after the trade deadline's passed and they're on their team still, it's like a weight's lifted off their shoulder and they're able to play more free. There's not as much tension on them. And Wiggins has been playing free for sure. So shout out Wiggs.
Yeah, it definitely happens sometimes where guys are like, oh my gosh, like even if, it wasn't really ever rumored that Wiggins was going to be traded, but I'm sure it weighs on you a little bit. You're like, is there a possibility that I could be dealt? Everybody has like that little bit of paranoia. He clearly wasn't dealt, and it's for good reason, man. Wiggs has been awesome recently. So yeah, shout out to him. Above double digits now, 10.6 points per game. Not going to have enough to win most improved player, but if like they were doing, I always wish they would do like an MIP team, like even if it's just one, like who are the top 5 most improved players on the season, like most improved first team or something like that. I think that would be a cool way to recognize more players, etch more guys in history for their improvement. But yeah, I mean, he's not going to MIP. It's just a little bit too late in the game for that. But I mean, he could definitely push himself a little bit more into the race if he continues playing like this. And just more so for Thunder outlook. I mean, it gives the team a better outlook at trying to win this Western Conference, which I mean, I think it should be clear at this point, the Thunder are the best team in the Western Conference. I really don't think there's a lot going on against them. News today in the Western Conference, Mark Williams, no longer going to the Lakers. Apparently he failed that physical, which sucks because I like Mark Williams' game a lot.
Same.
But if it's a player that now isn't sent to the Western Conference and the Thunder would have to worry about at all. Not that I would have been worried about this Lakers team. The defense was still going to be terrible this season. But I mean, giving them a young big man and a lob threat for Luka, at least a little bit, is scarier than they would have been. Now it's going to be Jackson Hayes pretty much solely as the big man for that team. Maybe they pick up Thunder legend Daniel Tice. It's always a possibility. But that's just crazy that happened. And it wasn't even the back. Like the back has been the big thing for Mark Williams. And apparently it wasn't even that caused the issue with the physical. So that's concerning for a player I like a lot. I mean, it's super awkward. Did you see the Hornets press release statement on the whole thing?
I saw everybody retweeting. I didn't see what it said though.
Yeah. So it says, we are excited to welcome Mark back to our Hornets organization. Also, this 100% reads like AI wrote it. Someone put the AI tester thing in my comments when I quote tweeted this, and it said 100% chance that this was AI generated, and it reads like it. Because we are excited to welcome Mark back to our Hornets organization. Feels like a weird way to say that. Then they said, after the other team aggressively pursued Mark, we made the difficult decision to move him. We have always held great respect for Mark's talent, work ethic, and character. We are thrilled to see him rejoin our roster as a dynamic presence at the starting center position. His return strengthening our team, and we look forward to the impact he will have on and off the court. Hilarious that at not one point do they say Lakers. They only refer to them once as the other team.
Yeah.
Which makes it sound like they are very upset that this thing happened. And that maybe they got caught trying to pull off a fleece by getting all this back for a guy who might be cooked in Mark Williams. But yeah, hilarious, just falling apart of a trade there. So, I mean, that changes the Western Conference even more. AD looked pretty good. in the Mavs game today. Like they got to win over the Rockets, who've been spiraling, by the way. Now they're down to the 4 seed. With the Lakers win, they might even be 5 seed now.
Man, that'd be
they
wild.
are the 5 seed. Yep.
Wow.
They fall into the 5 seed. So that's drastically changed the outlook. I mean, right now, if the season ended today, it would be the Lakers or the Rockets for the Thunder second round. So would be interesting, and it would be, funnily enough, in the first round, either the Clippers or the Mavericks. So it's either a Mavs rematch or it's us playing the team that gave us Shai and J-Dub, which is a couple of storylines, man.
I don't know, man. If a lot of Thunder fans were really worried in the first half of the Mavs game when Anthony Davis was just going scorched earth on Alperen Şengün, which again, on Alperen Şengün. But then the second half, whenever he got injured, like, we still don't really know what's going on with that. He says he probably thinks it's going to be fine, but it's Anthony Davis. It's a groin injury. It was non-contact. Like, that's something that could linger. That's something that could rear its ugly head back again. So who knows what's going to happen there? Like, it's the West is going to be very interesting to see who kind of like rises up to try to meet the Thunder. Like, at this point, like, what are you thinking? Like Memphis, Denver, like those are like the 2 big threats.
I don't think Memphis is a threat. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, fair.
The only team that I think at this point stands a chance against the Thunder is like maybe a Denver, and it's because they've got Jokic. But like, I mean, I think this team is just the cream of the crop in the West, man. I really just don't think there's a team like the Lakers defense is awful and they don't have a big. The Mavericks, I think that offense, I mean, we saw it against the Rockets a little bit in that second half. The offense is going to really struggle sometimes, especially because the Thunder can go double big. Like the Rockets went double big with Şengün and Steven Adams. The Thunder can go double big with Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein. Like they can match up with that, and that's going to be a problem.
Who's a lot better.
Yeah, and you now can't deal with the last year they're able to just force a bunch of lobs. Luka would force mismatches, get downhill. The Thunder would have to send 2 over or really commit to grabbing those offensive rebounds, adding extra size in the paint down low, and they would just kill us with a million lobs. You can't do that anymore. Like the Thunder are just so much bigger. We're so much better as a rebounding team. We're so much better in those passing lanes out to the corner with Caruso, like Kyrie trying to score on Caruso and Kaysen and Shai and Dort, like for a full series. Like there's just no way. So I'm not worried about Dallas. I'm not worried about Memphis. I'm honestly not worried about anybody. Like I think I'm not either. I just think this team is too good. And I think they will get the job done and win the Western Conference. Really, the teams that worry me the most are in the Eastern Conference. And really, it's Boston. Like I think the Celtics are the Cavs. I do like the DeAndre Hunter quite a bit. And I do think that team, if they're clicking on all cylinders.
UVA legend.
UVA legends, DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome, man, back together. That's fun. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they can. I would take the Thunder. Like the Celtics are the only series where I pause for a moment. I'm like they might be able to. I'm still taking OKC. I'm riding with the guys. And it's really hard to repeat. And the Celtics have looked a lot more vulnerable this season than they did last year because it's been a tough year for Jaylen Brown, and Drew Holiday is not shooting nearly as well as he has in the past. Like the Celtics look kind of gassed. I think that finals run, and then Tatum, of course, playing in the Olympics. Like I just feel like the team is kind of exhausted a little bit. So I would take the Thunder in that series. I think they match up incredibly well with Boston. But like I don't know, man. I just think this Thunder team is going to get it done. I almost feel about this Thunder team the same way that I felt about the Celtics in the East last year, where I was like, nobody's going to stop Boston in the East. I think the only way the Celtics don't win the finals is if like they run into Denver in the finals. But it's like with the Thunder, I think the only way we don't win is like if we run into like the Celtics in the finals. Yeah. So that's the way I see it at the moment. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean it's every number will tell you that this team is insane. The only thing I ever see from people saying, people be like, oh, the Thunder are going to win it all. Like, how does anybody stop them? The only thing I ever see is, oh, they're built for the regular season. Like, they haven't done it before. There is nothing that tells you they're a regular season built team. They are a fantastic half-court offense. A regular season team is the Rockets. And, like, I like the Rockets. I don't hate the Rockets like some Thunder fans do. But they're dropping down the standings now because, like, Fred VanVleet got hurt, and even with Fred, they struggle to generate any half-court offense. They can't do it at all right now. Like, they cannot generate half-court offense whatsoever. That is the side of a regular season team. not a team that has dominated in the half court, that has one of the best ISO players in like the last 20, 30 years. One of the best ISO players ever in Shai. Like, I don't know. Mini rant over.
No, I 100% agree with you. I know what you mean, man. DCF&F kind of brings up, like, while we're talking about this, Brian Windhorst said during the trade deadline, with like the arms race going on with the West, people trying to acquire Kevin Durant, Jimmy Butler, how nobody in the West fears who's at the top. And he even specifically said, like, talking about Oklahoma City. And it's kind of like Boston, like you said, it's kind of like Boston last year, where like Boston was one of the historically best like regular season teams in the history of the league, like last year, like in terms of like win total, some of the numbers they was putting up. But because they hadn't done it yet in the playoffs, they didn't want to give them their due. They didn't want to recognize them as that team. Then after they do it in the playoffs, just run through the East, and then they cap it off in the finals against the Mavericks with the gentleman's sweep. They're like, oh wow, we should have saw this coming all along. Like it was all right there.
It was very similar to a lot of what I see with the Thunder now, where the Celtics had a top 5 net rating of all time last season. Which, by the way, every team in the top 5, including the Thunder, where they are right now. The Thunder, of course, the only question mark because the season's not over. But the other 4 teams in the top 5 won the title pretty convincingly. 96, 97 Bulls, 2017 Warriors, last year Celtics. Those are the other teams in the top 5. But they had like one of the best net ratings ever. They ran away with the conference. They had a stacked, talented starting 5. They were amazing on both ends. There was like every stat, and the eye test included, would tell you the Celtics were going to destroy people. But people didn't really like that Celtics team. And also, it's like, oh, they're the same old Celtics. They've like, the Celtics always collapse, which I didn't get. They had made a finals like just a year ago. They were a year removed from being in the finals. And they had added Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. Like, they're not the same Celtics. And I think it's the same thing about the Thunder, is people are like, oh, well, they were second round exit last year. Well, they were second round exit to the team that made the finals. And that, by the way, doesn't exist anymore. That's not the same team anymore.
Yeah.
And that was a series that literally had a 0-point differential. And the Thunder took away, Josh Giddey, who was a big weakness in that series with the lack of spacing. And they added Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. It's like the exact same thing. Add a great big, add a great defensive guard who's like one of the best role players in the league, Drew Holiday, KP, Alex Caruso. You add those 2 guys, and then, you're suddenly putting up historic numbers. And it's just like, I don't understand how people don't see what's happening. It's people just for some reason get blinded by like the history of stuff way too much. It's like, oh, the Celtics have never gotten it done. Why would they get it done now? Because they added amazing players and they're making history. Like, people need to stop acting like the regular season doesn't matter. It 100% does. Everything that you see that eventually leads to a championship team, you see in the regular season. Last year with Dallas, after the deadline, they were one of the hottest teams in the league. Like, they were on fire. And if you just looked at, the stand, you just got to the end and you're like, oh, well, Dallas was like a 4 or 5 seed. Like, if you watch the regular season basketball with the eye test, you could tell Dallas was going to be a problem for anybody. And they made the finals. So I don't know. It feels like people are always like, oh, the only thing that matters is the playoffs. And okay, well, the Thunder have one of the better playoff performers from last year in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and they have an elite defense, which you need in the playoffs, and they have one of the best offenses, best half-court offenses at that, and they've got elite role players, and they've got some experience now, and they have a good coach, and every number backs up the fact that they're good. They're deep. They have star power. Like, I don't get it, man. I just feel like people are just talking to talk.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, it's kind of like you said. I mean, the regular season definitely informs the playoffs. And it's not just always going to be record. It's not going to be the full scope of the season. It's not going to be offensive rating, defensive rating all the time. But it's all those things together. Like you said, like the Rockets, they had a good record. Like, up until like literally like 2 weeks ago, like they were second in the Western Conference. But that's not what was to inform the playoffs. What was to inform the playoffs is how much their offense struggles to get going sometimes, specifically late in games, specifically in the half court. With the Thunder, how good they are being by every metric, offensive rating, defensive rating, net rating, record. They've been there before. They have one of the best players in the world. Like all those things you're saying, if if you're going to let anything inform the playoffs, like, let that inform what's going to happen in the playoffs. It just, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it's cliche to say haters are going to hate, but like they are. They're just going to hate. And, same thing, like the hate is because the anus. Like, it's the Thunder, and people don't want to acknowledge greatness. But once it happens, they won't be able to shut up about it.
Yeah, it's literally. I really think it's going to be a Celtics thing where they're going to go through next year and everyone's going to be like, oh well, the Eastern Conference was super weak for the Celtics. Like, who cares? It's. Yeah. I literally think it's going to be something like that. By the way, 42-9, tied for the 12th best record through 51 games ever. So
like those numbers.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, man. Yeah, like I mean, they're just doing crazy stuff. Like the fact that the Thunder could throw every single game for the rest of the season and they would finish above 500. Man, we could go on a 32-game losing streak and we would finish above 500, or 31-game losing streak.
Yeah, that would be absolutely nuts.
Yeah, man, that would be. I mean, that'd be tough. We could always talk all this talk, and then they go on a 31-game losing streak. You never know.
Come before we move on, I want to go ahead and take a break so we can hear a word from our sponsors. And we are back with a word from our sponsors. Our sponsor for this last month or so has been Underdog. Underdog has been awesome. If you guys were on here a couple weeks ago, I pulled a 4-leg parlay just out of my butt in like 30 seconds, and Cone dropped some money on it, and we were tracking it live throughout the podcast. Like it was almost a 2-hour podcast because we wanted to see if this hit, and the game ended and it didn't hit, and it was like whatever. Like we ended the pod. Me and Cone was still talking. We literally got a stat correction win after the game. Like,
shout out to Isaiah Collier getting that 9th dime.
Absolutely, like it was unprecedented stuff, but that's besides the point. Underdog, we have a link. We've been putting it up in the description. If you click on it, use promo code Thunder, you get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. You get one free pick, and you don't have to just do it on NBA. Like this is an NBA show. We talk NBA. You can do it on NBA, but there's a pretty big game going on tomorrow, and there's some promotions in there. I think right now you have a no sweat. I think it's called no sweat wager. I don't want to say bet because I think that might be trademark, but there's a no sweat wager in there. So you can put up to $10 on there, make your entry, try to win some money. And if you miss it, you get your wager back. So if you put in $10, you get your $10 back. If it does not hit, it's great. Never waste a no sweat. That is a motto that I have in sports wagering, Cone. I don't know about you. If I have a no sweat, I don't care if it's college basketball. I don't care if it's WNBA. I don't care if it's freaking esports. I'm using that no sweat because there's no sweat.
Yeah, definitely. I think there is one for the Super Bowl tomorrow. I believe on Underdog, which I'm going to be going for. I'm going to try and go off the Travis Kelce potentially last game of his career TD. We'll see if that hits. Historically not the best at picking stuff in the Super Bowl. I will say I've went straight at the money line of whoever I thought was going to win the Super Bowl. And I think I've done it like the last 4 years in a row. I've been pretty good at it. I think the Chiefs are going to three-peat. So that's the way I'm leaning right now. We'll see if that's actually the case. But yeah, man, it's fun. Been having a good time on Underdog. Yeah, I'm glad we got that win. I wish it was here on the pod so we could have celebrated and y'all could have seen a reaction. But we literally damn, man, it didn't hit. At least it was close. We tried. And then like 5 minutes later, I'm just like checking it again, and all of a sudden his like little icon next to him is green, and it says he has 9 assists, and they just gave him another one. Like shout out to the stat sheet guy. It was like the last year the whole conspiracy theory of, oh my gosh, Jaren Jackson Jr. What's going on with his blocks like at home versus away? I mean, it was in Utah, so worked out.
They've been cooking those Isaiah Collier assists too ever since Colin Sexton went down. He's been going nuts with that. But no, I actually put together a parlay for the Thunder game earlier. Just missed. It was a 5-leg. I had J-Dub's PRA. I had Isaiah Hartenstein rebounds, assists. Spoiler alert, I use those a lot. Those hit pretty often, especially here recently. Hartenstein, keep an eye on Hartenstein because with Chet back, that will definitely vary a little bit. I did Shai's points, missed it. I got hooked, man. It was 32.5. It was 32. He missed a million free throws. Like that should have been an easy hit. I had Zach Edey's rebounds at 7.5 because he's had double digits his last 3 games, and he had 2 rebounds because the Thunder ran him off the floor.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then I had Jaren Jackson over 22.5 points. He's had over 30, I think, his last 3 games, and the Thunder just put the locks on him. So that was my fault. I was stupid, but hey, if we're picking a Super Bowl parlay, this is something you could do. Saquon Barkley, hottest player in NFL right now. 114.5 is his line for rushing. I'm taking the higher. Like, you can't stop that, man. Patrick Mahomes, like this is what he was born to do, man. Like, this is what, his 5th Super Bowl now? 253.5 yards. We're going higher on that. Big game Patty is going crazy. Kelsey, 62.5. I think he's had like a combined 300 yards in the past like 3 Super Bowls. So like he's getting more than 62.5 yards. Shiny new toy, Xavier Worthy, 57.5 rushing yards. You know, Mahomes goes to his rookie, you know, down the stretch of the season. It was Rashee Rice last year, Xavier Worthy this year. And then I got A.J. Brown, 70.5 receiving yards, because I think that Philly gets down, and I think they're going to have to throw. The reason how you're able to have your cake and eat it too there, I think Saquon breaks off a long one there. But, yeah, if you do all of those and you wager $10 with your no-sweat parlay, with your no-sweat wager, you can get 12.73 times, which would be $127, which would be a nice little payday on your Super Bowl Sunday to start off your week. So, again, use the link in the description. Use promo code Thunder. Get up to $1,000 in bonus cash, a free pick. Use that no sweat, and let's go win some money this weekend.
And you can make up some of the money for the Super Bowl spread you might be buying. I know my fiance and I are going to have people over, and we like are getting like a pizza and some wings and like all this different type of stuff. And, you know, you can make some of it back. I mean, I'm rooting for the Chiefs because I'm a Cowboys fan and I don't want to see another NFC East team win a Super Bowl. So let's go get that 3-peat, Patty. Let's do it.
So I'm diplomatic. I just want to see. I want to see a fun game. I don't care if it's good. I want to see a fun game.
Boo.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool to see a 3-peat. But I also think it would be a lot of fun to see the 3-peat end. So, yeah, I just want to have fun. I want to have a good time. Cone, Kendrick's halftime show. What's the opening song?
Squabble Up.
Oh, really? Okay. See,
I think so.
I think that's a good one. The one that I've kind of settled on is Be Humble.
Yeah, Humble feels like it's a good one. I think he's going to open with Squabble Up, you know, off the new album. It's well known, and I think it kind of like gets into the show with like a song that not everybody might not like, you know, the more casual fans, just people tuning to the Super Bowl might not know yet. So introduces them to a new song, and I think he does like that, and then kind of starts getting to some of the hits. And then maybe a couple more songs off GNX. SZA is coming out at some point. I think at some point, he said there's a big surprise. I think he brings Wayne out at some point. I think Kendrick's gonna have Wayne there. You know, Wayne wasn't happy about not being the Super Bowl performer, so I think at some point Wayne comes out, and that's gonna be great, man. I think it's gonna be an awesome Super Bowl halftime show. Kendrick's gonna put on a show. He did all last year, man. He was the MVP of the music world last year, so I think he's gonna show out.
What if he shocked the world and brought out Drake?
That would be. I saw someone say they think that he was gonna like bring out Drake and like dangle him over a shark pit or something like that. Like that was the big surprise. He was talking about like a James Bond villain or something like that.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, I also like, honestly, the best opening song would be Mad City, but I don't think you could like get by playing that at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because like he used to open like all of his like old shows with that, and it was just so hype. Like watching him jump on the yak.
I think he's gonna do Not Like Us. I wonder what words are allowed to be said and what words aren't. We're gonna have to see. Yeah, DC. I think 100% Not Like Us is being.
He's got to.
He had like that. If I had to pick a song to close, I think it's Not Like Us.
Yeah,
to me that makes sense as the closer. And I mean, man, I'm curious. I'm curious to hear what words are said and what things are bleeped out, but I'm very, very excited, man. It's so funny. It's like the NBA has kind of stolen the Super Bowl's thunder, I feel like, leading up to it, man, with the crazy trade deadline and great basketball being played. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being very into the NBA world the way that I am, but I feel like the NBA is kind of the poppin' thing right now. I also know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't care about this I don't care about the Super Bowl. Like it's the Eagles, the Chiefs. I'm not going to even watch, which they 100% will watch. It's just like, I don't know. I wonder if it's a combination of those two things because it feels like the hype's not really the way that it usually is.
I think people might, I think it's the Chiefs thing. I think people are just annoyed about the Chiefs, but no, they're 100% still going to watch. And I do think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a fun time. It'll be a good halftime show. I got to ask you, though, Cone, what is your go-to Super Bowl food?
Super Bowl food? I mean, I'm a big pizza guy. To me, it's always last year we did like some pizza and breadsticks and like a dessert kind of thing, just like some type of combo from a pizza place nearby. I'm also
thing to say.
Yeah, also very very big into the wings. I think wings are a great Super Bowl food. I like myself like a good chip and dip kind of thing off to the side as well. Mozzarella sticks are always banging.
Whew,
those are sticks. Love some mozz sticks. Nachos. We're talking about the chip and dip thing. Quick question, because my fiance and I were talking about someone we were inviting over, and she's like, "Oh, should I bring anything?" And my fiance asked me, she's like, "Should she bring anything?" And I was like, "I should bring like a chip and a dip or something like that." And she's like, "So what do you mean by like a dip?" And we had this conversation. Do you think that would you consider, okay, if I told you chips and dip, what is the first dip that you think of?
Probably just the either cheese dip or ranch dip or something like that.
Okay. Because I was going to ask you, because I think of my family used to get this kind of French oniony type dip for chips back in the day. That's one that I usually go to.
Chelsea likes that too.
Okay. Would you consider, I was going to ask if you would consider cheese a dip, because then I started thinking about that. I was like, okay, well, it's cheese sauce a dip. Is salsa a dip for a chip? Do we consider that a dip?
See, that's like chips and salsa though.
That
says chips and cheese though. It literally says cheese dip on the thing. It doesn't say salsa dip, I don't think.
That's fair, because I think that's eventually the conclusion that I came to internally, because most of this was just an inner debate with myself, and I was like, is salsa? I was like, I would not consider it that. I wouldn't say salsa is a dip, because that's the same. I think of cheese dip, like a French onion dip. I wouldn't say salsa dip. That's stupid. So. Okay, no, I'm on the same page. What's your go-to?
Well, we're talking about dips. If it was me bringing a dip to your party, it would be my favorite dip, which is buffalo chicken dip.
Great. Fantastic choice. My fiance is vegetarian, so that doesn't quite work for her.
Oh,
but
no.
Dylan, you and I, though, we'd be munching on some buffalo chicken dip, bro. I love a good buffalo chicken dip.
Bro, Chelsea asked me, we're having a smaller affair this year because we usually have a lot of people over, but it's, everybody's kind of, I honestly didn't realize the Super Bowl was coming up as fast as it was. So it was my fault. I didn't ask people on time. So Alex, Trevin, those guys, they're usually over here, but they're going to other things. So it's just going to be us and her sister and her brother-in-law, which is cool. We'll still have a good time. She was asking what we wanted. I was like, I don't care what you guys make. Just please make buffalo chicken dip and make a lot of it, because I'm going to be smacking that.
Damn, bro, I want a buffalo chicken dip now, man. You know what else is good? Like a 7-layer dip. That's also gas.
See, you know this about me. I'm a very picky eater. So buffalo chicken dip took me out of my comfort zone, and I'm glad for it. There's a lot of other things I've wanted out of my comfort zone, and I was not glad for it. I haven't done the 7-layer chicken or the 7-layer dip. I need to try it.
Yeah, 7-layer dip's good. I like that a lot. That's one of my favorites. Love a cheese dip, French onion, buffalo chicken. Dips are just good, man. I have to get chips and dip now for tomorrow, man. I'm so in that mode.
You gotta make some buffalo chicken dip, man.
I should. I don't know. That's kind of work. I wonder if I could buy any.
It is.
I don't know.
It's not too bad. If y'all got a crock pot, you can make it in the crock pot.
Good news, Dylan. We don't have a crock pot.
Dang.
It's a little tough.
Well, never mind then. Hey, in terms of drinks though, this is all I need. I need my Dr. Pepper buffalo chicken dip. I'm locked in to see the three-peat or the non-three-peat in the Kendrick halftime show. Do you think he brings out Taylor Swift for Bad Blood?
No, but that would actually be hilarious. Now, I didn't even think about that as a possibility. She's gonna be there for Travis.
Be there.
Bro, that would actually be hilarious, dude. If he brought out SZA, Taylor Swift, and Wayne and just made it a whole thing.
Yeah.
You know what? Do it. Why not? Hell yeah.
Why the frick not, man?
Why not, man?
just take over. But yeah, man. I mean, we kind of went off the rails there at the end, but I mean, there wasn't too much more to talk about Thunder wise. I mean, we previewed the rest of the games going into the All-Star break on our last pod that me and you have by ourselves. So not too much to talk about left on there. Like, what we have? We have 7 games to the All-Star break. Or no, now we have 5 games to the All-Star break. I mean, do you expect Chet to like play in all of those? Do you expect him to miss any of those? We don't have any back-to-backs left, do we?
We have that one with it's the Wolves and Heat. I think we only have 3 games left, I think, till All-Star break.
Is it 3? Okay.
Yeah, it's just Pelicans, Heat, and Wolves. There's only 3 left.
Gotcha. Hey, and the Heat is on a Wednesday, so.
Oh my God! So Shai's dropping 60,000 points. So
see, this is the question I had, right? Because obviously, Shai's dropped 50 points in the last 3 Wednesdays. Okay, but in those last 3 Wednesdays, he dropped 54, 52, then 50. So do I bet for Shai to score 50 points this coming Wednesday, or to score 48 points this coming Wednesday? Which trend wins out?
Something else we need to consider. It will be a game against Thunder Killer Andrew Wiggins in a new environment.
This is true. So he will play all 4 quarters probably.
Yeah, this sounds like a Shai 50, Andrew Wiggins 30 bomb if I've ever seen one before.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take it. I'm taking it to the bank, and just like you did with the underdog parlay, I will split it with you if we win.
All right, sounds good, man. But yeah, I mean, teams hooping. Really nothing to complain about. It's so funny every time. Like I saw someone say, "It's crazy how good this team is," and then every time we lose, it's like the sky is falling. Like, yeah, it's so funny. Think about the reaction to some of the losses we've had this season. You remember all the crazy reactions when we lost to the Rockets that game in December?
Yeah.
And now it's like that. I hardly even remember that game. And that's one of 9 losses on the season.
It feels forever ago, man.
This season's felt like a long time, man. There was part of me that was like, damn, we're really halfway through the season when we reached that point. But now, like just a few games later, I'm like, damn, we're only 51 into the season.
Yeah. T did bring up talking about Queso's injury. So he also, as we mentioned, he missed tonight, but it was also reported that he is sitting out the Rising Stars Challenge this coming weekend in favor of Brandon Podziemski. So I don't know if that leans towards the severity of his injury, or if it's just like, hey, I don't really want to go to the All-Star break. I don't want to like participate in this thing. Like I'd rather just like take the rest, recuperate, kind of thing. What do you think? Do you think this speaks to the severity, or do you think he just wants a break from the break?
I think it's just a break for Queso. I mean, an all-star, like a Rising Stars game really doesn't do much for Queso at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play again until after the All-Star break. Like, honestly, at this point, I'm fine if they just sit him out. Like, I think Lou will be back next game against the Pelicans. I mean, you could even sit him for the Pelicans game. Like, I'm not worried at all. Just got from the Real app an injury update that Chet Holmgren's now active, so he'll be playing the Pelicans game. Not surprising, but he's off the injury report, which is good. Figured that was going to be the case. But yeah, so at this point, I mean, I just want to see one game with everybody out there. Like, I just want to see a game where the injury report is just AJ, who we're not getting back for a little bit, and then like Topic, and everybody else is playing. Like, that's I want to get to that point, and it's going to be an amazing day when we get there. I was so sad when it's like, Chet's back. Oh my God. And now Lou's out, and then Queso's out. I'm like, bro, can we just I just want to see one game where the starting lineup is Shai, it's Lou, it's Dub, it's Chet, it's iHeart. The lineup that we figured we'd get this season. I just want one game of that at the very least.
Dude, I'll do you one better than that. I've been talking to Jerry a lot recently. Like, I talk to Jerry pretty often, but like, especially as like we're leading up to the events and stuff. Which, by the way, we're having an event. March
if y'all want to
21st.
see recently acquired Hornet Mark Williams play.
Mark Williams will be back. Hopefully, as long as nothing happens to him physically. Knock on wood. But yeah, no. I mean, we put the event many times. If you want tickets, there are still a few tickets available. Go to our Twitter at OKC Talk Thunder and the pin tweet. It's going to be a great time. I mean, I can't talk enough about all the stuff that's going to happen. But I mean, you'll get to see all of us. Stephen Dolan, for the first time ever, is making an appearance at this, so we get to meet Dolan. Maybe get a hoop with Dolan. I'm very
That'd be
excited to see how
iconic.
that goes because he said he was dunking. I mean, come on, I don't know if you know this. Dolan's 6'4".
Oh, I knew he was tall. I didn't realize he was that tall.
Yeah,
Man, I was like the
yeah,
tall person in the podcast group. What happened?
You were. Bro, that first time I met all of you, I was just like, because I felt like I was like pretty tall, like around like my friend group. I mean, obviously you see Trev, like Trev's like bigger than all of us, but like I was like one of the taller guys. And I mean, you and then Tierney and even Moles, and I'm just like, why am I looking up to you guys? This is terrible. But no, anyways, I was talking to Jerry. He has a conspiracy theory that at some point before the playoffs, we are going to activate Nikola Topic.
That would be actually incredible if just like we've had Topic brewing over the course of this year, and we're about to head into it. We're like, oh yeah, we've also got another playmaker off the bench. They were doing I think it was between the third and fourth quarter on League Pass. They were showing like Topic's pre-draft or like as soon as he'd been drafted by the Thunder, like his interview kind of thing. And man, I cannot wait to see him hoop, dude. I'm so excited. It's crazy that we just have him in the background. A guy who's supposed to be a top 5 pick before that injury, just waiting to show up and show out. I think he's going to be so good, man. I think he's going to be so good.
According to a lot of people, he was the top pick on their draft board last year. Like, you know, it was kind of a crapshoot draft, but like many people in No Ceilings, I think the guys at Nerd Sesh also like had them at the top of their draft board. So yeah, man, it's gonna be it's already scary hours, but it's about to be like haunting. It's like the haunting in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, 80 wins, man. 80-2.
Hey, you're selling us short, brother. We're going 83-0. We're getting revenge in the NBA.
Oh, I need to say real quick. So when the game finished, I saw like a Grizzlies space popped up at the top of my Twitter timeline. I was like, I'll listen to this to hear what they have to say. Like my guilty pleasure is like when we beat teams, I love going to their Twitter space to see the team's fans crashing out. It's kind of hilarious. But I went in there and there was a Grizzlies fan who was saying like that we were being favored by the NBA because they're building us a $1 billion arena, which is not true. They're not building the arena for the Thunder. And I also don't know why rigging it for the Thunder with the new arena coming makes sense. Like, I don't even know what the conspiracy is. And then he started saying something about, he's like, well, you know, we saw last year Pacers made it to that NBA Cup final, and now here they are in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, you know, Thunder end up with the NBA Cup Finals and they lose it. Like, you probably know what's going to happen there. Like, you know, I'm seeing what the NBA is doing. So, like, what's the conspiracy? The conspiracy is that the NBA is pushing the loser of the NBA Cup final specifically to the conference. Like, what? I can't even like parse what the conspiracy was, but he was like, we all see it. Yeah. I was like, my guy, I don't see it. Like, it is just you who sees it.
Yeah, no, those spaces are wild, man. Like, and it's both sides. Like, I remember when the Rockets beat us in December, and like they were just like victory lapping, like they just won the NBA Finals, like saying all these things about how bad of a player Shai was, how bad Jalen Williams is, how bad the Thunder is, like Chet wouldn't have mattered, like all these things. It's just people are crazy, man. People are crazy, and like a lot of it is it's just like, you know, they're just trying to rile up a reaction, because the more of a reaction you rile up, the bigger audience that you can get, like especially on Twitter Spaces. But yeah, like it's it's wild to think that the league has any favor for us, because, you know, even when people are repeatedly calling us free throw merchant, like you said earlier, like we lost the free throw battle by like
13. We significantly got outshot from the line tonight. One more time, it was 21-39. It was an 18 free throw difference. They almost doubled. They were 2 away, or 3 away rather, from doubling us up from the line. And they're like you know, people are like, oh my gosh, like the Thunder. We were called for 6 more fouls as well. Like, we're called for more fouls. They got more free throws. Like, you know, I don't think there's any favoritism at all. I mean, the Thunder, we've talked about a million times on here, have like a way lower free throw rate than they should for the amount of drives that they have. Still finding ways to win. I mean, you got to find a way, I guess, to tear down. Everybody has to find some way to tear down a historically good team. It's just the nature of the sport. But yeah, it's very funny to hop in those Twitter Spaces, because the only people I talk about or talk with the league about really are people that are like relatively tapped in. Even my more casual friends are like somewhat tapped in, like pretty heavily. So it's crazy to hear people that are like specifically only tapped into like one team. And that's always so funny to hear people's perspectives. Like, remember a few years ago when we were playing the Lakers and Kenrich Williams had like that career high game, like he went crazy, and Lakers fans are like, "Who the hell is Kenrich Williams?" And it's like, you know, if you watch Thunder games, you get it. But obviously, not a lot of people do. They'll have to watch. They'll watch him in the NBA Finals. It's fine. Not concerned.
Yeah, not everybody knew that glorious shag haircut.
No, people.
But
now they fear it.
Now they fear it. They are haunted by it. They're haunted by it like freaking, what is it? Lady Woe from Severance.
They're haunted by that and Nikola Topic looming in the background.
Like Lady Woe from Severance. I just gotta make Severance references at this point. It's all I could think about.
So
if you guys aren't watching Severance, by the way,
best
shout out to Cone for putting me on.
Best thing on TV right now. Yeah, Dylan asked me like for a show recommendation at one point. I just gotten off the plane. I can't remember where I was flying back from. I think it might have been back home or back from being home for a little bit for the holidays. And Dylan and I were talking because I think we were talking about podcasting that night or something like that. Like he was just checking out to see how my flight back went. And he asked me like, "Do you have any show recommendations?" And I told him I was like, "Severance. Like the new season is coming out soon. If you have not watched it, go watch it. Best thing don't even know if I could say TV because it's like not technically TV. It's like streaming. Best show out right now, easily. Like there's nothing coming close to Severance right now. It's on Apple TV. I know not everybody has Apple TV, but like,
hey, there's some Stream East adjacent TV sites that you can find it on.
Yeah, I'm literally paying for Apple TV solely for that show because it's that good.
And Shrinking.
And Shrinking. Well, we finished watching Shrinking, so now I'm not paying for it anymore. I'm not just paying for that. But Apple TV's kind of got some bangers, man. They got good shows. Shrinking's good. Ted Lasso's good. Severance is like one of the best things I've ever seen. That episode 4 of season 2, legitimately one of like the greatest episodes of television I've ever watched.
Yeah, like so many just iconic lines, iconic moments, and some of the best acting. Like
some of the best acting
again on television.
You will see ever. The shots in the show, everything. So the world building, like the mystery solving. If you love like a mystery, like thriller kind of thing, that also is like it's got like so much like comedy in there too, like just by the wackiness and the weirdness of the premise. It's crazy, man. It's so good. So if you're not watching that, there was our little Severance plug here at the end because it's so good.
Absolutely. I gotta have it. But with that being said, I hope everybody has had a great night. I mean, you obviously have. You just watched the Thunder win. If you're still in the chat, go ahead and leave a comment about
what's your favorite dip.
I don't know. Yeah. We need to know what's your favorite dip, and we ain't talking backer. And subscribe to the channel, like the video, and once again, like, do not miss out on the Top of Thunder fan event. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great time. I know the Hornets have faced some injuries, but like at the very least, you might be able to see the Thunder do something historic. We almost watched the Thunder do something historic the game before the fan event last year against the Blazers.
If you want to see the Thunder win by a lot of points, come check it out. And I mean, you'll get to shoot a half-court shot. So
and try to win a basketball signed by the entire historically great Thunder basketball
team. Yeah, you can
team,
get a basketball signed by literally one of the greatest teams ever assembled. The team that will have the most wins in Thunder history. So
yeah, absolutely. So do that at our Twitter at OKC Top of Thunder. Go ahead and follow us while you're over there. That'd be great. And yeah, if you're not already, like, I know this is a YouTube forum, but like, do us a favor, like, go ahead and go to Spotify, go to Apple, find our podcast, subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating, positive review. I don't get to plug that at the end of the show as much as I used to anymore, but like, it really does help us, and it would mean the absolute world if you would do that for us. So we had a lot of people watching this video. Shout out to you guys. The chat was popping, and tap back in on Tuesday whenever we return. But until then, hope everybody has a great night, has a great weekend, has a great, safe Super Bowl Sunday.